Hey there everyone, Lord Fidget here with a rather rare episode of fully commentated Aether Raids Battle Dump. I wasn't originally planning on doing this, but I was reviewing the Light Season footage, and there just weren't really many maps that I would have been happy with doing an analysis on. Not because they were easy maps, but just because they're either excessively straightforward, or it's stuff we've seen 1,000 times. And like, there was a cav line in there. I mean, I don't like to do cav lines so much anymore just because the weaknesses are always the same. Like, have backline space, have multiple units that can fight on the enemy phase, blah blah blah. Anyway, so I decided to go fully commentated Battle Dump instead. It's going to be pretty interesting because I'm also throwing in the battles from the Astra season 2 weeks ago, which I apparently forgot to put a Battle Dump video together for, sorry about that. So yeah, this is going to be some pretty obvious post-commentary. I do post-commentary on Aether Raids Offense as well, for those of you who weren't aware of that, I don't know. But I try to capture my original mindset as faithfully as possible. Like, I'll allow myself to throw in explanations for AI actions that I was surprised by, just because it benefits you, the viewers, and that's why I do this in the first place. But you won't ever hear me being describing something that I was originally surprised by and then saying, yeah, I totally planned for that all along. I find that, what's the term? Morally blech? that's the technical phrase. Yep, totally. So anyway, that's enough rambling from me. Let's go ahead and get into these matches. We're going to go ahead and start off in Astra season with the Brunnya raiding party. This team is a very enemy phase combat-oriented setup. It's got the Gustav with the near save and the Flame providing the mitigations. The problem the map has is you may be able to spot it just by looking. Is that it's very easy to bait it out, and it can't do a whole lot in response to bait attempts. Like if I just have Brunnya here the way I did, certainly, and that gets Reinhardt, and there is no follow-up on Reinhardt's action. The melee units have no assists, or at least Leaf and Gustav don't. I don't remember if Tiki and Saros do, but they can't reach that space that Brunnya is currently occupying, so they aren't able to actually provide any meaningful follow-up on Reinhardt's initiation. So you basically just bait this map for free, and you avoid the mitigations, you avoid the near save, and you're probably just good to go as long as you have units who can actually eliminate the remaining enemies. One thing here that I actually didn't originally intend to do on my when I cleared this map, I broke that Aether Amphora there. And what that does is it makes the enemies see the path to the left as a viable option, and you'll see that both Leaf and Saros actually will make a beeline for Plumeria going down that path. Which, I mean, it's kind of annoying because now I have to worry about fighting a battle on two fronts. But it's also kind of not, because it splits up the enemies and allows me to do fun things like have Micaiah take out Gustav for free. There's no way anybody other than Flame is reaching the lower right half of the map, lower right section of the map rather. So I'm very safe to just kind of hit and turn after making sure nobody is in the extended threat range of Saros, actually just Saros, because Leaf is not, he moves too far for Mirabilis to actually reach him. And as it turns out, Saros didn't even get the refresh anyway. In this situation, it probably would have been better if she had, just because I had both of my two range attackers next to Naga, so they would have had a really easy time just picking her off. But honestly, the way it's going, it's perfectly fine. It's very nice. This particular split is also nice in that I don't have to worry about Mirabilis refreshing on the turn after this, because she's too far away to catch up. And I guess technically Tiki could just decide, you know what, I changed my mind, I want to go to the right instead, and then she'd get a refresh. But I guess the important thing is that there's no threat. So, I do believe, I briefly checked Mirabilis, her skills loadout, just to see if she had Wings of Mercy. That was a potential wild card that ended up not mattering. One, because she didn't have Wings of Mercy, and two, because there's a healing tower that just healed Ceros anyway. So Tiki actually does decide, you know what, I changed my mind, probably because I put Plumeria below that inn. And interestingly, here, I did a quick review because this video is like 5 minutes long. I wanted to confirm what exactly I did. In this situation, I would have honestly expected myself to keep Brunnya low, so for easy warps with Plumeria and Naga with Wings of Mercy. But apparently, instead, what I decided to do is have Brunnya go over to the right, and just take out the Tiki of the Soul, which takes her out of Wings of Mercy range, and it puts her further away from the Aether Fountain up in the top left corner. Apparently, I just went after it with Regan and just hoped Mirabilis would go straight down, I think was my goal with breaking that structure. But she doesn't. I believe, actually, yeah, that should be a quicker route to Plumeria. To go off to the left. No matter though, I was able to grab the Aether Fountain with Regan, and then what on earth did I do? I did a reposition chain. And then Mirabilis can fight into Regan. I don't think she dies, just because Mirabilis' defenses are kind of ridiculous, and Regan's not initiating combat. But it's pretty easy cleanup on turn 7 out of 7. So that was a very, very long, a rather long battle for this type of map. Here is the second map. It's, I guess if I had to describe it, I'd say it's kind of a boxer strategy with rally elements. The Olivia has no weapon, so that makes it very easy to take out the threatening foes and just leave her alive while I go grab the Aether structures. I actually went with an Altina-focused clear for this map, which is rather unusual for the Brunnya team. The Brunnya team usually just leans heavily on Micaiah and Brunnya's very strong combat capabilities to get their runs done. But in this case, the stars aligned, and Altina was actually able to put in some good work here.
Over here?
I don't quite remember how I ended up initiating this. Let's see here. I think leaning partly on memory and partly on just looking at this map. I think I would have had to take out the Ceros with Brunnya or Micaiah, Divine Fang boosted, of course, and then had Altina take out Ophelia, and then she can vantage through the rest of them. Alright, so what did I do here? How did I set this up?
You have my trust.
Well, apparently I took some thinking time. So, and then I decided to get Micaiah out, and then Brunnya was able to get the Divine Fang bonus.
Yes.
Brunnya is going to be the one to take out Ceros, and also the Divine Fang bonus on Altina will help ensure that she is able to take out Duma if he attacks. I believe he did not end up actually attacking. So that's so that was, I guess, well, I suppose if he had been able to net the KO, he would have. Well, no, that's not how it works. It's if you can deal at least 5 damage, then you won't rally. Anyway, so I don't know. Weird decision making on my part there. But Altina is able to take out the Ophelia. She does have field buffs and Plumeria support, so that's going to give her a ton of attack.
It will be done.
And then I'm able to get Micaiah in there as well. Micaiah has gold flyers, so that's just even more attack. And here we're going to just see a big fat rally chain. And eventually, Erica does attack into Altina, goes down to the vantage. Again, Ophelia was the hardy bearing user. And Rayson is also forced into attacking because he deals at least 5 damage during the combat, or he thinks he does. In reality, he just gets vantaged and completely obliterated. So, again,
Consider it done.
Olivia has no weapon, so this is very easy cleanup. I may have actually warped Naga in to take out the Duma here. I don't quite remember. That or used the armor effective weapon user that was right there in his face. Alright, totally forgot about that. And then I probably did some warping stuff to grab the Aether structures, if I had to guess. Yeah. Oh, smite Brunnya? Yes. Alright, and then Brunnya can take out the Olivia. Oh wow, that was actually, she can't double. Huh. I mean, she doesn't have her solos, but that still surprises me. Interesting. So here we have the very first usage of my duo Lin team. I did end up putting one of these together, and it's exactly as cancerous as you would think it is. I always feel kind of bad using it, but not always. Sometimes maps just deserve it. But yeah, what I ended up doing here, that Hector does not have AR far save, in case anybody was wondering. In case anybody actually was like, wait, why are you sending in Lin into a Hector? That's suicide. It's not, in this case. So I actually initiated a turn early here. I was supposed to have Sigurd moved into that spot where Tiki currently is.
Over here?
But instead, I just kicked things off early, and I got saved by the fact that that Regan is the bonus unit. So I was able to run Plumeria as a second refresher. If Regan hadn't been a bonus unit, if Regan or Plumeria rather hadn't been bonus units, I would have been screwed. Initiated too early, wouldn't have had enough actions to clear the map, I don't think.
Go for it.
Actually, I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, I was able to get the KO on the enemy's peony, which allows me to use my duo skills. I'm actually looking at this, and it looks like I must have warped in Plumeria to refresh Lin, because that's the only way I can see myself having enough actions for this. Maybe move Tiki up. But now, see, Plumeria can receive Lin's, my peony's duo skill. So she can get another action and refresh Lin again now after she takes out the Azura, which she has just done. I'm not sure why I was speaking in the present tense there. My mistake. And even if there's no way the enemies are reaching Lin, Hector, even if he had armored boots, it's now deactivated by Savage Blow activations. And Saros didn't have
your hand.
Whatchamacallit. Odd Tempest. That's the name. Thanks, brain. Okay, so only one real bit of strategy here left, and that is that I wanted to attack Saros with Tiki. And the reason I wanted to do that is because Tiki has attack speed push. That's going to provide a little bit of burn damage post-combat. And the conditions for Maltet's follow-up prevention, and I believe also the stat drops in combat are 1, the enemy has to be initiating, or 2, they have to be at full HP. So now with Hector initiating, that's going to be, neither of those are going to be true. So she's going to have all of her stats, and she's not going to have her follow-up attack prevented. So he's going to attack, and it turns out that the follow-up, I don't think either of those is actually necessary. But, oh well, what can you do? Here we have the 4th straight map for the Brunnya team. We have another boxish setup. I did end up going for a mostly player phase clear on this one, actually. It's rather interesting.
Over here?
With Micaiah able to... I believe what I ended up doing was I had Micaiah tucked away in the very top left-hand corner.
Close your eyes.
Which would have made her safe from enemy range, and on the player phase, I attacked into Duma with her. Since she has armor, effectively she's able to take him out quite easily. And then Brunnya would have had to have taken out the Dimitri. in this equation.
By your
And then, as I recall, I had Regan
Yes.
do a gale force maneuver, taking out Eliwood, cantoing away, getting refreshed by Plumeria, then going after Lysithea. Since Eliwood doesn't go down in one hit, he's able to get a counterattack off. That brings her Gale Force charge down to 1. So when she takes out the Lysithea, she's able to get Gale Force active and then just run away. And of course, the refreshers can't refresh each other, so they just advance meaninglessly.
Certainly.
And oh wow, really? I'm already going to be able to start this on what? This can't be what, turn 4 maybe. Wow. I mean, it has to be now actually. Now that I think about it. Because otherwise I wouldn't have Kanto. Huh, interesting. Alright, so, I mean, I guess as I described, Naga smites Regan up. Regan is able to take down the Eliwood. I'm interested to see if that would have failed had Regan not been a bonus unit. I'm actually not sure. There's a possibility that Lingheider's mitigations would have prevented that from one-shotting. But again, I don't actually know. So then Regan's able to Gale Force away, and then the rest of this map is pretty easy cleanup. So to spare my poor vocal cords, I'm going to just go ahead and let this play out.
Yes. Let's go together. Yeah.
So, more Brunnya team. This one is actually a very interesting pulse setup using 2 pents. I believe one of the pents, the 55 HP one, has infantry pulse. I guess it's pretty obvious that if either of them did, it would be the 55 HP one. But you know, just in case. I did... Oh, what am I doing exactly? I think I did another Altina focus thing here because the Hardy Bearing user was Saros, I want to say. I don't recall exactly. I do have the original check skills footage, so I couldn't look. But I'm pretty sure it's Saros. So the Altina is actually going to be able to vantage sweep through literally everybody not Saros. And here, I actually wasn't expecting Mirabilis to be the one to refresh the Pent. I thought it was just going to be the Peony. But of course, Mirabilis won the distance comparison. So I was initially afraid that Felix was going to get Peony's refresh and be able to warp in and take out Altina. But because Plumeria was in the lower right area of the map, I put her there to draw down Saros. But because of that, Felix also moved to the right. Did I say Plumeria was in the left corner of the map? I was wrong. Sorry. That was a mistake. I shouldn't have said that if I did. My apologies. So, Micaiah is able to take out Saros and Felix. I had Micaiah positioned to get the Divine Fang bonus precisely because I wanted to bait Saros straight downward to move towards Plumeria rather. And now, of course, let's see here. See here. I guess this will tell me. Yeah, Lysithea didn't have Hardy Bearing. It must have been the Saros. I'm pretty sure it was. So now we're at turn 2, and the enemy is already half dead, or more than half dead. This would have been a 7 unit map, huh? Interesting. Okay, I still find it so strange that the Saros was the one with Hardy Bearing, but I mean, I'm not complaining. The Mirabilis is going to advance. Oh wow, they just swapped like that. That's interesting. Mirabilis, I guess, is going after Plumeria, and Peony must be going after Naga.
Here.
Bit of Wings of Mercy shenanigans allow me to pick up the Aether structures, and Altina with Twin Blades is now able to delete the Mirabilis, and of course the Peony is not going to be a problem either. The opponent for the last match for the Astra season is the Literal One. You may know him from... he also does one-turn clears of hero battles. I believe so in the same way that I use Caeda for every hero battle, or I try to. So far, I've been successful. I believe he uses Duo Everman every clear, or he tries to. I don't know how accurate that is, but I do know he likes Duo Ephraim. So in the spirit of the one-turn clear approach, I decided to deploy my Duo Lin against this map. The plan here is that she will take out a Zama, then get a refresh from Peony, then take out the Ephraim. The reason, actually, I guess now is probably the best time for me to discuss a little bit about why I made the choices I did when designing this team. So Sigurd, I put him in there because he's a cavalry. Obviously, the idea is that Lyn gets into Wings of Mercy range and sweeps the enemy team, but she's not going to get into Wings of Mercy range off of one combat. She needs 3 with minus HP and Fury 4. So Sigurd is there to help facilitate that. Here I was just checking some matchups. Since he doesn't need Wings of Mercy because he's a cavalry, he just has huge movement and he can move in and refresh anyway. So the positioning gets a little interesting, but I found it to be the most effective. Duo Peony is used for 2 reasons. 1, because of her duo skill, and 2, because her weapon, which I'm drawing a blank on the name of, provides +6 attack to anyone in cardinal directions of her, or well, to any ally in cardinal directions of her. So that's super busted. I was actually afraid here that the Zama's Panic was going to screw me over. I wanted to use Gentle Dream just to get in range of Joint Drive attack. I had to commit to it because I had already fully committed to the strategy, but she was able to take out the Ephraim with Ruptured Sky. I gave her Fury 4 from a female Byleth. That's why she has that. I actually wasn't planning on doing a one-turn clear of this map originally. I was just doing Lyn in the spirit of the one-turn clear. But what I had forgotten was that I had grabbed both Aether structures on previous turns, which I guess didn't even really matter that much because this was the last match of my season. But I was able to get off a... I was able to course correct because I have Plumeria. It's a one turn without Plumeria, if I planned it that way. But the way I played it, I initially wanted to just leave Saros alive and just take her out later, after grabbing the Aether structures, which I had already grabbed. But I was able to correct my my strategy in order to get a one-turn clear. So the strategy for the one turn would have been attack Tiki, or attack Leaf with Tiki, and then activate Harmonize skill, take out, or no, refresh with Sigurd, take out Eldian, activate Harmonize skill, take out Saros. But in this scenario, I was forced to refresh with Plumeria
At your command.
and go that route instead.
Go for it. You're finished. Yummy. With spooky. Ooh. This way? Lyn, you're a wonder. Sit.
So we are now moving on into light season, and we're kicking things off with a meme full Matthew team. I decided, I believe they're all +10 actually, and they all have a lot of valuable inheritance. And I decided that I have to match favoritism with favoritism here. It's just, I mean, I like to do that when I can, when it's feasible. But sometimes, I mean, I'll obviously prioritize victory over. What's the phrase? What is the phrase? Starts with an S, I thought. Something to do with feelings. I'm drawing a blank. That's really weird. Why can't I remember what the word is? Oh, well, whatever. So anyway, the idea I went for here is that I was going to engage the Matthews on the left-hand side and then leave the ones on the right-hand side to do their thing in advance and whatever. Totally forgot that Bolt Trap was the bonus structure for this past week. So, I mean, of course, there's a healing tower there, so it doesn't really matter, but essentially what I ended up doing was I repositioned Caeda straight up.
What next?
Then I was able to take out 2 of the Matthews because Gale Force does activate. And then she was parked safely up in that upper left corner. And I actually got a little caught off guard by their... I think they just had a lot of speed, and I wasn't expecting to have to deal with that. I did some trap testing here just to see if I could scout some stuff out, maybe get some ideas, and I ended up hitting both of them, which was nice. So the Matthews, they all kind of stream down here, and their rallies don't come off until after the first one moves. Sorry. And what caught me off guard was, oh, I can't actually KO this one. That's awkward. Not even Azura could bust through that. And I guess actually Caeda probably has a better matchup just because Pegasus Flight is fully active, so she just rips right through she cuts their defenses down.
Good morning.
Here I was able to get a field buff onto Caeda. That plus putting Peony in the same column and getting that drive attack from her seal slot was enough to get the KO. And the main conundrum was how to grab the remaining Aether structure and not die a horrible, painful death. I believe I ended up refreshing Caeda, yes. And then I had Freya break the Aether Fountain. Freya and Caeda can both take a round of combat with one Matthew. That was perfectly fine. Especially since I don't think that's the Deskuchiwa. I think, yeah, Sky Myogi. That's, yeah, you can see that I actually just went and checked the skill just to make sure it wasn't Deskuchiwa, which is the cavalry effective one, for those who were wondering, like, what the heck is he talking about, Deskuchiwa? So yeah, he attacks into Freya, probably because he deals more damage to her, and just gets completely wiped out. So that was map number 1. The second light season match is actually that Cav line I was saying was boring in the introduction. Actually, I wasn't saying this one specifically, it's just Cav lines in general. I actually did have to do a bit of course correction on this map as well. I take some thinking time relatively early because I messed up the positionings on Freya and Peony. They're supposed to be swapped. The idea was that I would move Peony below the defense fortress and smite her over to the left with Freya, positioning Freya to tank Selena, but let's see, hold on.
Expect nothing less.
Sorry, I just had to get the thinking time transition out of the way. But as it was, I just needed to have Freya kind of sit there in a lonely, not able to tank anything position. So the the sad part for this poor Python is that Caeda just completely obliterates him because he is green and cavalry. My plan, I assumed that this bolt trap was real. And it was, but it wouldn't have mattered if it hadn't been. Caeda does have Gale Force. She is able to get some player phase action in with that.
Let's go.
And she is actually able to. The refreshers are actually able to warp to her. The reason it's not bad if the bolt trap is fake is that she would just KO Selena and Leaf. Gale Force through Selena, take out Leaf, and then Elise and Hell on the enemy phase, they got nothing on her. So what I actually didn't account for here is I should have refreshed Caeda. Because I figured, hey, you know, Hell is not going to threaten her. And then I totally forgot that Dusel had her in range. So I took some more thinking time here just to figure this out.
Right, boss.
So I really had to actually figure out 2 problems, and that was 1, how to stop Dusel from destroying Caeda, and 2, how to stop Hell from destroying herself on Caeda. And turns out the solution was to delete Dusel with Dagger, and then break the coffin, and then just stick Freya in range. I was able to put her on the bolt trap, which I knew was fake, because, I mean, duh, the other one was real. And of course, the only reason I need Hell to survive the enemy phase is so I can go grab Aether and Foray up in the top right corner. Fortunately, Hell's Reaper stops Freya from outright destroying her. So, and my Bolt Tower just completely erases the Mystic Boost. I think I probably just warped Peony up here to grab the Foray. And then, I'm trying to remember, oh yeah, wow, I did. I was wondering if I would break the Healing Tower and have Caeda finish off the job, and I guess I did. Favoritism for the win. This next map is actually a return trap. With the Altina has Odd Tempest, and I believe the idea is that Lena uses return on Bernadetta, gets refreshed, uses return on Altina, which obviously happens after Bernadetta goes off and attack whatever poor fool happens to be in her range, if there's anyone. I was able to circumvent that by going full-on player phase, which is actually interesting. Even with the Flame providing mitigation to Altina, once Caeda's speed Def Rain is affecting her, Azura can still land a 2-hit KO. Which is kind of sad, because the Altina's defenses are not bad at all. The Brahmimon's actually going to be able to get off a Luna here, which is really annoying, but it doesn't stop me from executing the strategy. The reason I was comfortable repositioning Caeda onto that heavy trap is because there's no level of heavy trap that can affect either Caeda or Azura at 71 HP. They are boosted by 4 mythics, so their HP numbers are through the roof. Okay, not through the roof, but yeah, this is actually Gale Force, Sturdy, Impact, Altina, I believe. So that's something to consider. And what I ended up doing here was I just blocked him in. So that was the player phase strategy. Triandra, it does attack into Azura, but Azura has humongous amounts of res between air and dagger, so she's able to take that hit very well. And then I believe I actually did make a miscalculation here when I was cleaning this up.
What next?
I wanted to just keep the enemies trapped, just take out the Triandra and then pin Flame and Lena in. But I broke the Aether Amphora instead, I think, after checking the matchup, totally forgetting that would actually free Lena, which was unfortunate. So I think I actually did have to take more thinking time to evaluate some matchups. So what I was especially worried about was what happens if Lena can actually KO either Caeda or Azura. I didn't think she was going to be able to KO Caeda, but Azura I was really worried about. I can reposition Peony out here, and obviously I did. But yeah, I was worried about the matchup, and I had nothing to worry about. I have a tendency to worry over nothing, rather, to be honest with you. So I was able to get that going, and then Caeda was able to one-hit the Lena. Of course, she had Gale Force and a bunch of Refresh Power behind her if she didn't, so no big deal. This next map is a rally trap setup. I deployed the Glimmer Gang into it. Glimmer Gang is usually pretty good at handling rally traps, just because I can get a hit and run off, and then threaten an enemy, force the rallies to go out on that enemy rather. And of course my units are just forever and ever away, so when the ralliers get refreshed, there is no follow-up because they can't do anything about it. I did actually end up losing a unit here, which was super annoying, because of an AI rule that I plumb forgot about. It's a bit hit or miss as to whether I'll remember it or forget it, and this time I just completely forgot it. It's really unfortunate. Hopefully, now that I've actually been burned by it, I will remember it in the future. But the rule is that the AI has a defense style fetish. So Lysithea and Bramimon both have rallies. Those rallies are going to come out onto the Sothis, because Cecilia is threatening Sothis. However, I forgot that because the AI loves defense styles so much, Bramimon's actually going to jump forward and do his rally from there. That prompts Lysithea to rally Bramimon, then get the refresh from Azura, and she just wipes the floor with my poor Cecilia. It was very unfortunate. If Bramimon had rallied from his existing position, his starting position rather, that would have been perfectly fine. But he didn't, so oh well. The play to avoid that would have been to isolate Lysithea with my Milla. But I totally forgot about that AI rule, so oh well. I was able to... I do still have my own Lysithea, and because I only lost one unit, it's only a loss of 20 points, I believe it is, in Vault of Heaven. So it's not a huge deal. I decided to just take the loss because I don't care enough. Unfortunately, Lysithea misses that Bramimon KO. However, it's important to remember that Air has the dagger, and daggers apply post-combat defense penalties. And that is going to allow Lysithea to defeat the Bramimon. And then I guess just looking at this, I would have had to have used Milla to smite Air out of the way and then reposition with dagger. I think this is an odd... Oh wait, is this an even numbered turn or an odd numbered turn? I think it's an odd numbered turn, actually. because I initiated turn 2. So Dagger doesn't have even Tempest, but she does have the Gentle Boon bonus from the Refresh from Peony, so she's still going to be able to get Lysithea out to safety. Oh yeah, definitely. With that Triangle Adept, I don't think Lysithea would have survived. Even with plus 10 res between Dagger and Air. So, yeah, Azura attacked into Peony now, which is perfectly fine. She doesn't threaten her, and Peony doesn't put her in Wings of Mercy range. I don't think Eldigan had Wings of Mercy, but, you know, if he did, then it wouldn't have been a factor. And then I'm able to have Lysithea go ahead and clean up the Azura and go after the Aether structures. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and let this one, let the rest of this one play out.
If you say so.
Ready.
Yes. Death's caress.
Maybe this way.
Yes.
Right, boss? What should I do?
It will be done.
Got him. The glimmer of life.
I am in. I do not have time to waste.
This next map, as I learned after the fact, is a bait map for a viewer. So that's what's pretty interesting. I did a pretty standard setup for a team that looks like this, where the traps are out of the way and the enemies are in this kind of really dense box formation. I decided to have Elise KO the Mirabilis. She just ends up going down the line. Well, not really. She jumps from Mirabilis to Leaf, and then goes back to this here to finish things off. And then she is able to tank the Ophelia on the enemy phase. Ophelia does get her special, however, with Elise's high res stat, along with Miracle, there's no way she's dying. And then, of course, Sigurd has been isolated by Milla, so there's no threat of Lilina being able to follow up. And she moves straight down anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And I guess the only real complication was I did have to take some thinking time to figure out how to grab the Aether structures before killing everyone. But that was it. So, yeah, I'm actually just going to go ahead and let this one play out.
Yes?
Right, boss? Good morning.
Let's go. Okay.
Ready.
Like this.
Yes. Do my best.
Maybe this way.
Sure.
The next map is a box setup. It's not. There's a restore on the Brave Camilla, but she doesn't actually have a warp skill, so it's not really a restore trap. She can't extend her threat range by getting refresh after restoring. So yeah, I ended up using Milla to isolate her, just stop her from restoring anyway. It doesn't really matter in this case because she doesn't even have a special skill. But you know, just habit, I guess. Eventually, the plan is, or was, or I guess whatever tense it needs to be in, to isolate the Triandra, which I have now set myself up to do.
Yes.
With the Triandra isolated, I'll have Cecilia take out the Eldigan. The Eldigan, of course, has too much defense to be isolated by Milla, so I'll take him out. And then do a refresh and reposition to get Peony to safety, and Cecilia will be in range of the Leif and the Triandra.
Ready.
And of course, since the Triandra is isolated, she's going to be forced to attack. I believe she actually would have been forced to attack anyway, honestly. But that's what's going on there. I think Leif actually does get a restore from the Camilla, but that's fine. And then, of course, the rest of the enemies just kind of advance. But there's no meaningful follow-up because they have lost their refreshers. So unfortunate for them, but perfectly fine by me. Let me see here. I'm trying to recall what I ended up doing. Actually, if I recall correctly, I didn't realize, that Lysithea was able to delete the Norn. I think I actually had Cecilia chip her down a little bit first. So that was interesting. I honestly was not expecting. I think I actually just smite Lysithea up here.
Let us begin.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting Lysithea to be able to smack her with a freaking 53 before Glimmer. So yeah, that was strange. I think I'm used to Spendthrift Bow and Norns, but Reindeer Bow doesn't actually give res or reduce enemy attack. So there was that. A little bit of Pathfinder action. Camilla is forced to restore the Sothis. So now I can take her out with Lysithea. And then I believe what I did was I grabbed the Aether structures after checking that Cecilia could indeed KO Camilla. And she can, with Fire Effectiveness and Color Advantage versus Colorless. So yeah, I was able to grab the Aether structures and then finish the job by taking her out. So this next map is a rally / restore / space oppression setup. Leif has a rally, Veronica has a restore. I mean, nobody else could really have the restore, so. I've deployed a new raiding party. It uses Micaiah. It did use Marianne before, and I switched it to Micaiah because I liked the cavalry and armor effectiveness. I'm not so much liking the lack of sustain, especially since air can't be a permanent member of this team. Peony is invaluable and dagger is necessary for 6-slot raiding parties. So I don't know. We'll see. I did have Gustav bait out Mia. If he can't counterattack, he's a near save tank. Duh. But the reason I wanted to have him do that was so I could confirm his position at the start of the next player phase, and having Mia attack him was the only way to guarantee that she'd be exactly where I wanted her. Micaiah is unfortunately unable to one-round the Brahmin, and she is, however, able to take out the Selena. So I've got a bit of a positioning conundrum here. Now, the important things to note are Micaiah can finish off the Brahmin and the Leaf, and Pathfinder will allow me to attack Mia with my own Leaf. So what I ended up deciding to do here was I decided to commit to taking out the Brahmin and the Leaf with Micaiah, but then the issue I ran into was the fact that Leaf's going to deal some burn damage, and I didn't really see any way to get him to attack from below the defense fortress without putting somebody in danger of Veronica. So I had to take some thinking time to figure this one out.
A gift for me?
So as it turns out, this was another case of me worrying over nothing. I was able to have Leaf attack into the Mia, and he is able to survive a round of combat from a refreshed Veronica. Veronica is going to kick things off by using Restore on Triandra. So Leaf's able to survive, and 2, it doesn't even matter, because you may have noticed this, like as I said it, but Veronica is going to restore from the space to Triandra's right, because the AI prefers that location as it is safer. Triandra is forced to attack into Micaiah as well. So on top of all that I have already mentioned, there's this factor that Triandra deals a lot more damage to Micaiah than I was expecting her to. That was a rather unpleasant surprise. Fortunately, she's the last enemy that can pose a significant threat to her, so I was able to finish this one off pretty quickly. I took out the Aether structures because I wanted to. And then I figured, even if this trap is real, which it probably is, I mean, what's the point of having a real heavy trap above that defense fort? There, you can't. No attacker's gonna care. I decided it would be nice to have the potential to finish the map a turn early. But unfortunately, the trap was real, so I wasn't able to get Peony or leave up to Veronica. So I just have to have Micaiah take a hit from Veronica, and then she can finish the job on the next, or I guess on this player phase.
Death is deliverance.
The final map is a box-style setup. It seems to be focused pretty heavily on Legendary Dimitri, who will receive the bonus doubler from Eliwood's Argent Durandal. I don't think this type of setup is effective. Really, in this day and age with Dagger enabling 6v6s in Light Season, you can't afford to be sticking one of your units behind a couple structures. That's just poor map design in my opinion. So my plan is to have Cecilia take out both Crom and Dimitri, and Lysithea take out the enemy Leaf. The duo Peony actually doesn't have a weapon, so that's interesting. Cecilia is able to take out the two blues with Mad Triangle advantage, and Lancebreaker, which I did give her over Vantage. I really was just using Vantage as a placeholder until I came up with something better, and Lancebreaker was that something better. I gave it to her to improve her Brave Hector matchups, but it's always nice when it affects another matchup as well, such as the Dimitri one. So, interestingly enough, my original plan was actually to have a repositioner over on the left-hand side, so they could reposition Peony out of harm's way, because refreshing Cecilia after she KOs Crom puts my Peony in range of the enemy's Peony. But by the time I actually got to this point, I decided... by the time I got to this point, my repositioners were all on the right corner of the map, and I just decided, screw it, I don't care enough. That actually almost came back to bite me, as... only when the enemy's Peony came up to attack mine did I realize, wait a minute, what if that other one has Wings of Mercy? Because it turns out my Peony actually doubles theirs. He didn't have Wings of Mercy, he did not drink his Red Bull, so it wasn't a problem, but that could have been real bad. The only other way he gets out of his prison is if the Peonies apply a Gentle Dream bonus to him. So... yeah, they're just some things to think about. I don't know, and I just totally forgot that he might have Wings of Mercy. So that was unfortunate. So he doesn't have it, of course, and that allows me to go ahead and finish off the map very easily, since Peony is not really too much of a problem. And of course the other one doesn't even have a weapon. I think I ended up taking out... yeah, duo Peony with Cecilia, and then I think I had Milla take out the enemy's other Peony. And then I just had to set up to grab the Aether structures and KO the Eliwood. I didn't want to break the Aether Amphora immediately, because Cecilia is in range of Eliwood if that structure is destroyed. And I have no way to get my Peony over to Cecilia for a refresh. So I just blew up the tactics room. Although, now that I look at it, what did I do here? How did I grab these Aether structures? What did I do? If I had to... let's see here. I think Milla probably takes the Fountain, Cecilia takes the Amphora, and Lysithea Pathfinders to Eliwood? Oh, neat. I remembered, sort of. Well, I got the order wrong, but the actions were correct. Yay! And that is it. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Aether Raid's Battle Dump. I do sincerely hope that if I ever do fully commentated Battle Dumps in the future, that I won't have to do them for 2 seasons. That was actually kind of annoying. Regardless, this next week I hope to get back to my normal schedule, quote-unquote normal, with actually, I do have a mock battle video lined up for the weekend. I have 2 volunteers now, huzzah! So, look forward to that, and then I'm hoping to do Aether Raid's Offense on Monday, and another Battle Dump video on Tuesday. So, we'll have to see how that goes. Schedules can be funky sometimes. But regardless of what happens, Thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you next time.